Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We do hope that you have been enjoying the professional forum so far. For those who have just joined us, welcome. So, my name is Sonia, and I'll be your moderator today alongside Iman Kedir, that you can see on the screen. So, we will just wait a few moments in order to see if other people are going to join. Um, and so, yeah, please be patient for another minute or so. Okay, so the number is on 15. So in the meantime, maybe I could present Iman and then we'll be following with watching a video. So Iman here has been the communications and outreach specialist for the World Bank Group's Young Professional Program for over 5 years, where basically young professionals are recruited from around the world with various academic and professional backgrounds relevant to the World Bank's group. So, as you may know, the World Bank Group is one of the largest source of funding and knowledge for developing countries. So they work hand in hand with policymakers, government, civil society groups, private sectors, and many more. So today here, Mrs. Iman Kedir will be talking about early career opportunities and internship programs. We will start off by watching a video, and you do not hesitate to ask your questions in the chat box or in the Q&A. We'll eventually come back to them at the end of this discussion. So please enjoy while we put on this video.
When we left Bosnia, each of us had one bag with them.
I grew up in Palestine. It's a conflict-ridden country, and life has been very difficult.
I was about to turn on the faucet to drink some water, and my mother rushed in and said, "Don't drink the water."
My village didn't have electricity, and my siblings and I had to study with kerosene lamp at night.
So at the age of 21, I had an accident, a motorcycle accident.
The rebels, for all intents and purposes, were using us as human shields.
This is why I work for the World Bank.
This is the difference in perspective I bring to the work in the World Bank. I'm from a developing country. And from such a country, I lived through the civil war in that country. And for me, this is real.
With a personal history as a refugee and also as an immigrant, coming to the World Bank, I really have an affinity toward development.
We are really committed to development, and whatever the price is.
Development to me is the only path I know.
Very committed people at the bank.
Good electricity, reliable supply of clean water can really change the destiny of countries.
Achievement I am proud of and that keeps inspiring me in my work is
setting up a youth volunteering project from scratch in Lebanon.
Trying to solve very big problems of local communities.
Major efforts to improve the livelihood of the Somali people.
The support we provided in Haiti after the January 2010 earthquake.
The city was able to save as much as the amount of the loan. It changed the way it provided education in slums, and it really was able to save enough to invest in basic infrastructure, in health, in education.
When I encounter poor people, beneficiaries from our projects, I feel that there is some kind of easier communication between us because we understand that we are all facing difficulties, different difficulties, but the difficulties in our lives.
If there was a girl out there who was like a little me struggling, but has access to education, for me, that was my escape, literally and figuratively.
The impact I really wanted to make was in developing countries, because I said in some senses that's where my heart is. That's who I want to help more, and there are not enough people helping them.
To me, it's a meeting of heart and mind.
Every time I go to the field and I talk to people, beneficiaries or project participants, I get a very big sense of humbleness and also a lot of emotion around what's coming in the future.
Because that kid storming out in some refugee camp without any clothes, barely able to feed, that kid could be somebody greater tomorrow. It's the reality of me. I mean, I'm not talking about a story. I have lived that existence.
That's why I work for the World
Je
Bank.
travaille pour la Banque Mondiale.
Trabajo en el Banco Mundial.
That's why I work for the World Bank.
I work for the World Bank.
Colera World Bank.
And that's why I work for the World Bank.
Non-World Bank Group Bank.
That's why I work for the World Bank.
That's why I work for the World Bank Group.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, wherever you are. Welcome to this live webinar on early career opportunities at the World Bank Group. My name is Iman, Kedir, and I am the Communications and Outreach Focal Point for the World Bank's youth programs, which includes the Young Professionals Program, applications for which open next month on June 15th. So today we'll talk about the World Bank Group, our mission and our work, as well as how you can start a career with us. So as I move through the presentation, I encourage you to think about how your education, your work experience, and background might align with our organization's global mission. So we'll briefly go over our history, our work, and then we'll move into our early career opportunities, how to become eligible and apply, as well as a few success stories showing you just where some have taken their careers after joining us as young professionals. We'll take your questions at the very end during the Q&A session. So until then, feel free to drop your questions in the chat box throughout the presentation, or you can raise your hand at the very end to ask your question live. So we'll start with a brief history. The World Bank Group was founded in 1944 as the International Bank for Reconstruction and Development at the end of World War II. This marked the beginning of multilateral collaboration across the globe with the creation of the IMF and other international organizations like the UN and NATO in 1945 and 1949, respectively, all with the main goal of rebuilding Europe and Japan after the war. Over the years, as the development paradigm evolved, so did our work. As we've seen with the ongoing global pandemic, the world is fast changing, and so we continue to recruit new talent to help address the ever-changing development challenges that our client governments face. Today, in addition to the impacts of COVID-19, we see conflict and climate shocks creating famine and the world's worst refugee crisis. We also see that accelerations in technology impact jobs. Internet, smartphones, and social media having the ability to connect people across the globe, seeing exactly how we each live our lives and inspiring aspirations around the world. But still, the demand for infrastructure investment has far outstripped available resources. And so we see that 1.2 billion people still do not have access to electricity. We see that at least 100 million people lack access to safe drinking water, and at least 60% of the global population, mostly in developing countries, do not have access to internet. So what does this all mean? It means that fewer children can study at night. It means that hospitals cannot refrigerate their medicines. It can also mean that private businesses, which we know are the greatest employers in developing countries, providing as much as 90% of jobs, will not be able to thrive. And so in terms of the COVID-19 response, the World Bank Group has been at the forefront. We know that this pandemic could push as many as 150 million more people into extreme poverty. So to work against this, the World Bank Group is making available up to $160 billion
US dollars in financing to over 111 countries, tailoring specifically to the health, economic, and social shocks countries are currently facing. So the work that we do is important, and we're looking for a variety of professionals to join us in making a difference. So today, the World Bank Group is also known as one of the world's largest sources of funding and knowledge for developing countries, helping governments improve lives and grapple with the toughest challenges that they face. Our loans support a wide array of investments in areas such as education, health, public administration, infrastructure, financial and private sector development, and agriculture, for example. We also offer expert knowledge, so research and data on every development sector and economic indicator, helping countries share and apply innovative knowledge and solutions to development challenges. But our value is our ability to work at the nexus of global and local issues, engaging with both the public and private sectors while complementing policy work with operational responses and financing. And so this brings me to our mission, which is what we call our twin goals. These goals we hope to achieve by the year 2030. The first goal is to end extreme poverty by decreasing the percentage of people living on less than $1.90 a day to no more than 3% of the global population. And the second goal is to promote shared prosperity by fostering the income growth of the bottom 40% for every country. We do this by operating in every major area of development through 3 of our institutions that make the World Bank Group. The IBRD, the formal name of the World Bank, and IDA form the World Bank and offer financing, policy advice, and technical assistance to governments of developing countries, with the IBRD assisting middle-income countries and IDA focusing on the world's poorest countries. The IFC and MIGA make up our private sector arm. The IFC, or the International Financial Corporation, works with the private sector in developing countries to invest in commercially viable projects and to create markets that open up jobs for all. At MIGA, the Multilateral Investment Guarantee Agency, we work to promote investment in developing countries by offering political and economic risk insurance. We also have a 5th institution called the International Center for the Settlement of Investment Disputes, which is devoted to the international investment dispute settlement process, which helps to promote international investment by providing confidence in this dispute resolution process. And so this is a snapshot of how the World Bank Group is governed in partnership with 189 member countries which we serve. And here's also a breakdown of our larger shareholders. And so this brings me to the question of the day: why work with us? The World Bank Group is comprised of staff from over 170 countries, working in over 130 locations to reduce poverty, increase shared prosperity, and promote sustainable development. So the work is uniquely impactful, the office is multicultural, of course, and the global opportunities are vast. Here's a look at the diversity in just our Young Professionals program alone. We see here over 70 young professionals of the 2019 cohort, representing 39 countries. And so this brings me to our employee benefits. A staff appointment at the World Bank Group comes with an array of employee benefits, a competitive salary, leave package, a retirement benefit plan, so on and so forth. And so how do you get started? There are several ways of joining the World Bank Group. We offer many early career recruitment programs like our internships, our Junior Professional Associates program, and our Young Professionals program. But we also have an array of consulting opportunities as well as general staff appointments that are advertised on our careers website. For the purposes of this presentation, we're going to go over general recruitment tips for applying for general staff appointments on our careers website before going into our early career recruitment programs. So if you find an opportunity on our careers website, the positions are advertised for about 2 weeks, after which point the position closes and then our hiring teams work to shortlist the top candidates. The interview process can take different forms. It can be a panel of 3 or 4 World Bank staff, or it can be a one-on-one interview with the hiring manager. The time to select from the time of advertising is about 90 days. In terms of being competitive for these appointments, it's really important to show that you have relevant experience and the profile and development for that specific role. So take your time and craft your resume and your statement of interest along these lines. The job description and the advertisement provides a lot of qualifications and clues as to how you can tailor your resume to show that you have relevant experience. In terms of other resources of being competitive, we have an open learning campus which offers free courses in development. We also have many different webinars and live events on our World Bank Live page, which is linked here. And then we also have many different project documents, historical project documents that we publish, as well as reports that we publish on an ongoing basis in different areas of development. Having full working proficiency in one of the World Bank Group languages, which include French, can also be a factor to stand out as competitive. Also, building your career in developing countries or working in development organizations, especially in fragile states, can also help as well. In terms of consulting opportunities, those are advertised often on LinkedIn, so you'll want to follow the World Bank on LinkedIn. You can also find full-time consulting opportunities on our careers website. And so now to our early career recruitment programs. On the left here, we have our internships. We have internships at both the World Bank and in our private sector arm, the IFC. These internships can be anywhere from 1 to 4 months long, and they're designed for current graduate students who expect to continue full-time enrollment after the internship. The internships offer exposure to our work and mission during graduate studies. In the middle here, we have the Junior Professional Associates Program. This is a full-time 2-year consulting contract that is not renewable, and it's for those who have at least a bachelor's degree and are younger than 28 years of age. This program too can offer exposure to our work and mission, sometimes before graduate school. And on the right here, we have the Young Professionals Program. This is a 5-year international employment contract, the first 2 years of which is a development training program. This is for those who have a graduate degree and are younger than 32 years of age when they apply. The program is considered our leadership pipeline, so having leadership skills can really help you stand out in this program. I'll go over the details of eligibility requirements now for each program. So for the Junior Professional Associates Program, that's the 2-year contract for those who just have a bachelor's degree and are younger than 28 years of age. To be competitive, you'll have to demonstrate analytical and research skills. Oftentimes, JPAs are supporting our global practices, for example, with the data needed to help us drive our decision making. In terms of when to apply, you can apply for the Junior Professional Associates Program all year round. The application is currently open. I'll move on now to our internships. We have the bank internship, which offers 2 different internship terms, one in the winter and one in the summer. The 2 terms, in terms of when you can apply, are listed here. And the bank internship is for graduate students of all backgrounds. So if you're not currently studying development, but you're studying, let's say, information technology, human resources, or communications, you can definitely apply to be an intern in one of our corporate units. There's no age requirement for the internship, so I encourage everyone who is a current graduate student to apply. On the right here, we have the IFC internship, and this is our private sector arm. So the majority of interns have an MBA or a finance degree, master's degree in the works. We also do hire interns in our corporate offices there. But to be competitive for the internship at the IFC, you'll need to have at least 3 years of relevant work experience. One thing to note, if you're looking to support our investment offices, you'll have to demonstrate strong financial analysis skills or coursework. And in terms of the IFC YP placement, if you are able to complete an internship at the IFC and you decide to apply to the Young Professionals Program later, you'll receive automatic pre-consideration. And now to our Young Professionals program. This is our flagship recruitment program. It's been around for close to 60 years, and it's welcomed at least 30% of our current senior leaders to the organization. So in terms of the profiles, in June of 2020, we actually merged the Young Professional Program of the IFC and the World Bank and included MIGA, a third institution, all with the goal of recruiting and developing future leaders to collaborate effectively across our institutions in the future. So in terms of the key features of this program, it's really a fantastic way to join the World Bank Group. You're coming in with a 5-year employment contract, the first 2 years of which is dedicated to a leadership development curriculum, which allows you to go through training on the World Bank Group's policies, its products and operations. You're also coming in with a cohort of at least 30 to 40 young professionals who are placed in various parts of the World Bank Group. So there are many networking opportunities and events. The program also pairs young professionals with coaches and mentors. And because of the program's legacy, it is very much supported by management. One key feature is that all young professionals are able to go on global missions. So to rotate to a different country office or different area of our business or even a different institution. And this is an opportunity that many don't have in the very early stages of their World Bank Group career. So if you can apply and you are eligible, I encourage everyone to do so next month. So in terms of the eligibility criteria for the Young Professionals program, to be considered, you'll have to be born on or after October 1st of 1990 to meet the age requirement. You'll also have to have a graduate level degree completed by a certain deadline, and that can vary by institution. And then you'll also have to demonstrate specialization in a field relevant to one of our hiring areas, which I'll go over later. In addition, you'll have to demonstrate at least 3 or 4 years of professional work experience that is related to one of these hiring areas. Or if you're working on a PhD, we do accept 3 years of doctoral studies at the World Bank if there is no work experience before the education. And the last eligibility criteria is to be fluent in English. So in terms of how to be competitive, if you're thinking about applying for the Young Professionals program, you'll have to use the application, the resume, the essay to really display a passion for international development or finance. You'll also need to possess outstanding academic credentials, excellent client engagement, communication, and team leadership skills, because this is a leadership program. And then you'll also have to demonstrate sort of knowledge of relevant sector trends in the area that you are considering to apply for. The following is a plus. So having work experience in an emerging market or developing country can help, and then having full proficiency in one of the following World Bank Group languages, which includes Arabic, Chinese, French, Portuguese, Russian, and Spanish. And so now here you'll see a full breakdown of the business areas that we are looking for young professionals to apply to. So you'll see on the left here, the World Bank has many different global practices. Climate change is one of the main global themes that we like to hire for. In the middle, you'll have all of the hiring areas for the IFC as well as MIGA. And this you can find on our website or in our online brochure. The good thing about the brochure is that there are different links behind some of these hiring areas, so you can click through to the different units and learn more about what they do on their website. So in terms of when to apply, the applications open next month on June 15th. We do publish the essay question a week in advance, so you'll want to check the website a little bit earlier. There's one application portal, and so from that portal, you would select the World Bank, IFC, or MIGA, hopefully after you've done a little bit of research to determine where you would be best fit. In terms of the hiring profiles, so the IFC, there we look for investment finance professionals through the Young Professionals program. For the investment profile, candidates typically have a finance or management consulting background with strong financial analysis skills. We also hire upstream business skills, which means doing the work pre-investment to work to help create the conditions for bankable projects. For the upstream profile, we are looking at a range of master's degree, including economics, finance, and engineering. And we're also looking for experience in the industries where you would be helping to create these pre-investment conditions. To qualify at the IFC, you'll have to demonstrate one of these profiles. You'll also have to have an MBA or a relevant master's degree completed by September of next year. And then you'll also have to demonstrate at least 4 years of relevant work experience, working in emerging markets or developing economies, or having a CFA is a plus. At MIGA, MIGA is a transaction-driven business. YPs will work as part of a team to move guarantee projects through the project cycle. This can include documentation, processing and underwriting, and portfolio management. And many MIGA staff have project finance experience within a bank prior to applying. So at MIGA, the eligibility requirements are the same, having at least 4 years of professional work experience in this area and having a relevant master's degree completed by next September. So at the World Bank, you can see from our hiring areas, there are many different areas of public sector international development there. So in terms of how to be eligible, you'll have to show that you have work experience, at least 3 years of which, and a master's degree completed by September of this year. If you are working on the PhD, you can show that you have completed that degree by next September, and then having 3 years of doctoral studies will be accepted if 3 years of work experience is not complete yet. So in terms of how to apply, the applications, as I mentioned, open next month, June 15 to July 15 for all of our World Bank Group institutions, and then they reopen in August for just the IFC and MIGA profiles, and then it's about a 16-month recruitment process. During this recruitment process, we may reach out to you for letters of recommendation at various stages, and then invite you to an interview, which have been held virtually in the past 2 years. There's an application checklist online with all of the details in terms of how to be eligible. So I will click through to the next slide, where we like to just state that diversity and inclusion at the World Bank Group is our strength. And so for this reason, we encourage people of all backgrounds to apply. We also would like to note that we conduct a disability inclusive recruitment process. So disability accommodations are made available throughout the application process. You can safely disclose the need for disability accommodations in our application or reach out to our office by email. We also provide marketing materials in accessible formats. So until next month, I encourage everyone to browse the brochure, and I'll end with a high note, some success stories showing you where some have gone in their careers after joining us through the Young Professionals Program. So on the left, we have Mamta Murthy, who's pictured here graduating with a master's degree in 1989, and she is now the Vice President of Human Development as of 2019. We have in the middle here Hart Schaefer at his first desk in the World Bank Group headquarters in Washington, D.C. after joining as a young professional. He's now the regional vice president of South Asia as of 2019. And then on the right, we have Victoria Kwakwa, who is our incoming regional vice president of Eastern and Southern Africa. And she's pictured here in 1990 in her first year in the Young Professionals Program on one of her global missions. So I'll now open the floor for our next steps and then our Q&A. So next steps, follow the World Bank on LinkedIn, follow the IFC and MIGA as well. Set job alerts on our careers website, which I'll link in the chat box in just a minute. And then connect with us on social media so you can get a sense of how we work, our business and our culture, some of the projects that we're working on. And then you can look up some of our reports, our annual reports, to learn more about the work that we do. And so now I will pass it over to our moderator for the day, Sonia, for the Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you so much for sharing all that information with us. It was very useful and very clear. Now we'll turn to the questions, and we'll start with Valentina, who asked, is there any interest on more technical scientific profiles such as engineers, statisticians, and data analysts, scientists?
I would say that there is interest, especially if you are looking to work in, for example, our infrastructure practice. We do hire engineers there to help understand the work that we're doing and to form policy. Data and statistics are the core of our work and our decision making. So if you have data analytics strengths, and you can couple that with a development, working in a development organization, for example, with these skills, you can really, create a profile that is competitive for our analyst positions, for example, at the World Bank Group.
Great, thank you, Valentina. I hope that answers your question. You can mention in the chat box if it doesn't. We have a second question from Owen Okoko. He says, are they targeted countries or citizenships for YPP or YPA each year? Or your country of residence matters too?
That's a great and common question. So in terms of nationalities, we do not have a specific quota, if you will, for our programs. We really try to have a diversity of cohorts every year, but that can look different every year. We do have give priority to nationals of our member countries, which are plenty. So chances are you are a national of one of these member countries. So I would really focus more on the competitiveness of your profile and know that, the World Bank Group, as I mentioned, considers diversity and inclusion our strength. So we don't have necessarily a rubric or a quota system, but we try to be as diverse as possible in all of our hiring opportunities.
Thank you. We have another question from Gloria in the chat. Gloria Movinki is asking, what advice would you give to young students who aspire to join the World Bank Group, and how can we prepare?
That's a great question. So in terms of the students in the room, I would say really the World Bank Group has a wealth of knowledge. So following us on social media gives you a really high level understanding of the work that we do, but really reading our project documents and our reports can help you even strengthen your academic success in this area. So getting to know our global practices through our website. Each of those practice areas have their own websites, can really help you understand too what we do in those specific areas. And so following your interests in terms of where you like the topics more, and then drilling down into those websites to which show, the experts that are working there, the blogs, the reports, the projects, the priorities, all of those global practices have that listed on their website. And so it gives you, I think, a competitiveness when it comes down to using that information to find internships in other development organizations that are in the similar field. And then later, hopefully, when you apply for an internship, that can also help. I would also say leverage your professors and your schools to find opportunities at the World Bank Group. Often there are alumni that work with us that go back and give back, whether it's through appointments with current students or career events. And so your career offices and your professors may already have contacts at the World Bank Group that can provide you with internship or job opportunities after school.
Thank you for that answer. In the Q&A, I can see a few people are actually worried about the 3 or 4 years experience, especially following school. Would you be able to give us more information on that and a broader view on how students, for example, after a master or after a bachelor, could join the World Bank Group with the 3 or 4 years experience?
Sure. So that's a requirement of the Young Professionals Program, which is a specific leadership program. And I'll link that in the chat here so everyone can get a sense of that program specifically. If you are a current student, though, and you intend to apply for an internship at the World Bank, you do not need to have work experience at all. So you can think about it that way. But for, in general, we do see a lot of students finding consulting opportunities, and to be competitive, of course, having at least a few years of experience will be helpful. So I would just say consider internships as work experience, we do consider that in the Young Professionals Program. Start there, and then you can definitely build your resume as you move through a career that interests you in development.
Great, thank you. Just to mention to all the people here today, you can raise your hand in order for us to actually see you and hear your voice if you have a question, instead of writing it in the chat box. We have another question from Marie-Gabrielle that is asking if years of apprenticeship during a master's degree could be considered as years of experience.
Definitely. In the Young Professionals Program, for example, we do consider internships. We do consider volunteer experience as well, especially if it's in a developing country or in an area of development. So that's definitely something that we would consider apprenticeships as well.
Okay, great. Another question is about the percentage of people accepted in the different programs, if you have that number.
Yeah, so the bank internship is really based on business needs. So if it's hard to say, we have managers who contact us every year for an intern to review in the database, and there are some managers who may forget that there's that option. So I would say there's no way of telling, from year to year how many applicants are picked up, but the best thing you can do is reach out to your professors and your career office, as I said, to find people, even on LinkedIn, to say you have this profile and you're looking for an internship at the World Bank. And it can really, it's a low commitment, very short-term hire. So you might find that some people at the bank are willing to offer you opportunities for internships. In terms of the Young Professionals Program, we receive thousands of applications a year. And then we end up with a cohort of about 40 at the World Bank and 10 at the IFC, and usually 1 at MICA. So it's a huge feat to overcome, but I think if you have a competitive profile, we see people applying 2 years in a row and then they get in. So really applying, I think, is the best way to get that experience, the interview experience, and then trying again if it doesn't work. But really putting your resume out there is the first and most important step. And in terms of the JPA program, that program is quite new, so it's hard to say again. We don't receive as many applications for the JPA as we do the YPP and the bank internships. So especially because the application is open year round, I would encourage those who qualify to apply for the JPA. I hope that answers the question.
I hope so too. I think it did. I know that you're the communication and outreach specialist for the YPP program, but we do have a question on the consultancy opportunities. Would you please be able to elaborate on that if you can?
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and share the consulting opportunities where you can find them in the chat box. So you'll also see links to our internship page and our Young Professionals Program page. So in terms of consultancy opportunities, we have short-term consultants, which are hired on a part-time basis. These consultants can support virtually any unit of the World Bank Group. They can support the HR department, the communications department, any of our development development operational units. And those opportunities can be found on LinkedIn, and I've shared the link in the chat box. Consultants can come in early on in their career, or they can come in as experts, providing short-term expert support. So the opportunities are really vast, but check that website for more information on opportunities that come up.
Thank you. So I think we will take our last 2 questions. And I will go with Owen Okoko, who has asked on tips where you mentioned that they needed to learn some of the languages of the World Bank. He wants to know what they are exactly, or how he could learn those languages precisely.
Sure. So we have 5 official World Bank Group languages. They include French, Arabic, Chinese, and there's a number of others, and I'll kind of flip back to the right slide for it. But in terms of language proficiency, there are many institutes in different countries that you can sign up for to sort of sharpen your language proficiency in different areas. So I would start there. And having full proficiency would make you more competitive, but it's not necessarily a requirement of every job that opens. You may see sometimes, though, if there's an opportunity to work in a specific regional unit, that the languages spoken in that region might be a preference or a qualification sometimes for the role. So that for that reason, I always encourage students to take up a second or third language, and definitely list that on your advertisement. On your resume.
Good. We do have one other question from Yassine, who would like to speak up. So if you could simply turn your mic on, Yassine, in order to ask your question.
Good morning, Iman Kedir. I might be interested in the World Bank opportunity, and I don't know if there's any age limit or nationality limit to apply.
Great. Thank you for your question, and good morning to you too. So there is only an age limit for our JPA and our YPP program. Those are our early career recruitment programs. But there obviously is no age requirement for any other opportunity, consulting, staff position advertised on our career website. In terms of our, in terms of nationality, we also don't have a quota system that we follow. We just encourage applicants from a diversity of nationalities to apply, but we do have preference to nationals of our member countries.
Okay. أشكرك.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, and so let me go back to the slide about the language proficiency so that everyone can kind of see it. You can see it listed down here at the bottom: Arabic, Chinese, French, Portuguese, Russian, and Spanish.
I do hope that answers your question, Owen. But if not, I would just like to remind all of you that there is an open room where you can discuss with Iman Kedir after this session. So over there, as I said, you can discuss, ask other types of questions, and develop on whatever worries or details you need to review with her.
Definitely, and I will be in the World Bank Group booth at noon my time, which is in about an hour. So I look forward to chatting with some of you then. Thank you so much for joining the presentation. Yes. All the best to you in your future.
Yes, thank you to everyone who participated, and we hope it was helpful. And obviously a big thank you to Iman Kedir for joining us today.
Thank you too, Sonia, for your moderating skills. Have a great day, everyone.
Bye, everyone.